Hayden Hawks, welcome to the Freetrail Chalet, buddy. Welcome back to UTMB. How are you feeling before CCC?
Yeah, feeling good, man. Just really excited to get out there and race again. Been here for 7 weeks now, so this has kind of become a second home to us. Not speaking French yet, but definitely adopting all the French ways, and we're loving it out here.
I love it how you guys, we were just talking about traveling with families. My family didn't come this year, but you and Ashley and the kids have done a bunch of long trips together. Maybe just start there, like what you guys have been up to the last couple of months, enjoying European culture and the mountains here.
Yeah, it's one thing that me and my wife just really enjoy to do. We love bringing out the kids and having them experience different cultures, different people, different ways of life. So we try to make that like a priority of ours, is to like set my schedule around being able to travel as a family. My son is starting school, but we actually decided to homeschool him. My wife's a teacher, so she's teaching him, and we're going to continue to travel like this and have fun and put races around it. So it's been awesome, man. Like the experiences that these kids are getting, it's just unbeatable. And we've been having such a good time as a family. I've also been able to train really well and get as specific as I possibly can. And so we're really happy about it.
Yeah. I mean, what a classroom. Spending the whole summer in Europe and having mom teach it social studies and English, and
it's been awesome, man. They do like all these little field trips. Like they went to like a working farm here in France, and they learned how to make cheese and like milk a cow and different things like that. My son's been like in a climbing club here, like climbing all like these walls out here in Chamonix, and just a lot of other things. It's been like so cool to see like them learn and grow. And I've been able to be involved with some of that as well. And it makes training and it makes just living so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think like when I'm happy, when I'm having a good time with my family and I'm excited, I always race really well. And so that's kind of what we've been focusing on.
Awesome. Well, you've probably been pretty happy this year because you've been on a heater. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's rewind the clock. Last time you did CCC was 2017, the year that you won, which was a massive moment for you. So maybe just start there, because it's 7 years ago already. Probably doesn't feel that long ago. I remember.
I actually ran it again.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it OCC?
2022.
Okay. Did you finish or? No, you didn't finish.
That's why, yeah, I
All right, well then, what a great place to start, right? So you had one experience where you're on the top of the world, something that probably materially changed your life and set you on this trajectory to be one of the great athletes in the sport as we've known you as. But obviously it's not always easy. So maybe meditate on those two very different experiences at CCC, what you learned from both.
Yeah, I mean, really, like this race means a lot to me because, like you said, in 2017 when I was able to win CCC, that was my first 100K. It was my first like big experience in Europe, and to come out on top and be able to do that, it did change my life. It changed my career. Like it made all of this possible that I'm doing now. So I can't thank like this race enough for that because it really changed my life. And then in 2022, when I came back, I had a couple rough years in between those as well, where I tried UTMB, DNF'd, just wasn't ready for it. I did pretty well at OCC with a top 5 finish there. But then, I came back in 2022, ran CCC again, and I didn't like race it the same way I did in 2017. I wasn't smart. I didn't have a good game plan going in. I just ran stupid, to be honest with you. And also that was like the start of my knee injury. Right before that race is when I really started feeling my knee, fought it for another year and a half and then finally got the surgery. And so now like coming back, like I feel like I learned so much from that DNF of how to race this race. I started like looking back on my 2017 performance and trying to figure out how I raced it that year and how I can take principles from that and also principles that I learned that were bad in 2022 and learn how to race this race. And I feel like I have that down now. I feel more prepared. I feel like I have a better game plan than I ever have before. And I just feel so like confident going into this race with the plan I have. And I think that's a really good thing. And honestly, like I love CCC. I love the race. I love how the course runs. And it's just really exciting.
It's so interesting to hear you say that you looked back at 2017 to inform your strategy going in, because as you said, it was your 100K debut. So coming in with total ignorance, but resulted in a victory and a course record at the time. And here you are 7 years more experienced and wiser, but there's still something to learn from, that inexperienced self. Your season this year, man, you've been on an absolute heater. People start forgetting about the spring races when we get to UTMB, but starting at Black Canyon, just a super impressive victory there. And then obviously the third place at Western States, 14:25, certainly, one of the best 100-mile performances of all time, even though you finished third. And then you had a little tune-up here in Austria, 50K, where you won again. To me, it feels like, the start of maybe the best season of your career. What do you think has contributed to this string of success that you've been on? Like, why has 2024 been so solid start to finish so far?
Health.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. Like I said, I fought this knee problem for almost 2 years, and I was a bit inconsistent during that time. It really bugged me to be inconsistent, but it was because I wasn't healthy. I wasn't confident in my knee. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I couldn't train the way I wanted to train. So health is everything. I think Cole Hawker, right?
But wait, we went on a run together with Ryan at Canyons, remember? And you were kind of hurt then, sort of coming back, and you had a compressed 10-week buildup for Western States. So it hasn't been all smooth, right?
No, it hasn't been all smooth, but I think I was still kind of recovering from the surgery, when I ran with you guys, and I kind of had a little bit of a setback after Black Canyon. And I learned from that, and it's just the health has just continued to get better and better, every month since then. And I think I was saying with Cole Hawker, the 1,500 meter Olympic gold medalist, I think he had a quote before the Olympics where he said, "When I'm healthy, I'm one of the best in the world, if not the best." And that's how I feel about myself. When I'm healthy, I'm one of the best in the world, if not the best. And I know what I'm capable of when I'm healthy. Just let me be healthy and I can show you what I'm capable of. And that's how I feel about this whole season, is I feel so confident because I'm healthy, I'm strong, and I'm just having so much fun. And I'm excited because I can actually do things without being in pain all the time. And it makes such a big difference. But there's been setbacks, but I've learned from all those things. And honestly, I feel that short buildup to Western States might have not been a bad thing because I recovered really well after. And I feel Western States was a catalyst for the fitness that I have now.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Let's come back and chat about that in a sec, but you make me want to ask you about the mindset also, because that's something that is not necessarily coachable and that I think probably can fatigue at times. After the Black Canyon, Western States doubles, insanely solid performances at the highest level. I mean, it's hard to get yourself gassed up again for another world-class race like CCC. So before we talk about the physical bounce back from Western States, where are you psychologically? You still are hungry and motivated like you usually are?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I only had 2 races. Black Canyon and then Western.
But you have to go to the bottom of the well in both of them, right?
Yeah, but there's such a big gap in between them, I feel and I feel in the past I raced a lot. I mean, I would race 8 to 10 times a year. I've only raced 3 times this year. And I think changing it up, coming out to Europe, being able to go into a new training environment, get excited about the trails and stuff out here was really nice. And I feel hungry. I feel excited. I feel just ready to race. And there's always that little bit of doubt that you feel all the time before any race. The butterflies, and you start to get a little nervous, a little anxious. But it's the same way I felt before Western States, and that went well. And that's what I'm trying to channel in, is that energy that I had there, and just realize that, this is awesome. This is what I wanted. This is what I was waiting all last year for. I mean, and that's the thing. I took a whole year off of pretty much racing. So let me at it, man. Let me get back in it.
I love it, man. I mean, you clearly have the heart of a champion and the mindset to match. But I think for a lot of people, like, to win the race on Friday, you're going to suffer deeply again. And so for people who have already gone through that a couple of times this year with very solid performances, it might feel nice to back
Isn't it
off
fun
a
though,
little
man?
bit.
Isn't it fun to suffer?
Hell
it's so good to be in that zone, man. I love it.
So I guess before we got to talk about Western States briefly before we talk about the recovery and the build up for CCC. And I would love to just do a long form podcast on just this, because what an incredible day. But finishing third, definitely your best 100-mile performance, your second podium there at Western States, which is amazing for anybody. Just talk about what it was like to be part of that day, because to me, it felt like that one is going to go down in history. Like, that's going to be one that we still look back on 20 years from now and say, remember that Jim, Rod, Hayden battle? Like, what was it like to be part of the 2024 Western States, and how are you thinking about it with a couple months of recovery?
Yeah, I think maybe that's why I'm so excited too, because like that just brought so much energy, and like it just was a really cool day, like a really exciting day, to be able to work with one of my best friends, Dan Jones, early on, be able to run so many miles with him and just feel solid, and like we were moving really well through the field. And then to be able to fight, at the end there and almost catch Rod and just kind of go through that whole experience, with my pacer, with my family, with my friends. It's all I wanted on that day. And it all came together like so well. But like, it wasn't perfect. There were moments in there where like I suffered and I had to get out of some hard times, but I was just so happy to be back at that race. And I knew like what I was capable of. And I knew that if I just stayed strong, kept eating, kept doing what I needed to do, kept taking care of myself, that I could run fast. I didn't know I would run 14:24, but it was a solid day, man. But I just feel like, I'll be going back next year, and I feel like I'm capable of even more.
Yes,
I really do.
All right. Well, we'll save more Western States talk for another time, but what an incredible and inspiring performance from all three of you. Now, you've mentioned before we started recording and here that you recovered better than expected. So just speak a little bit about the recovery and the build up for CCC, how things change in between so that you can have the specificity you talked about.
Yeah, I think me and my coach, Robbie Britton, we sat down and we talked about how not to force things after Western States. Like, if I'm capable of running 14:24 at Western States, I'm capable of winning CCC. So I didn't need to gain more fitness. I didn't need to jump back into 120, 130 mile weeks. I just needed to maintain the fitness that I had from Western States and then get specific. And of course, living out here allows me to get specific. Been doing a lot of vert, but I haven't been forcing the miles. Like, if you look at my Strava, I haven't been running a lot of miles, maybe compared to some of the other guys. It's just been some quality workouts, some good vert, not forcing things, and just maintaining fitness in between here and Western States and here. I think my fueling and my hydration were so on point at Western States too. Like, I got in and out of the drug tent in like 10 minutes.
No way.
Because I was so hydrated. And I think that made a huge difference. Shout out to Precision Hydration for helping me out with that. But like, I feel like, being on top of your fueling, being on top of your hydration, and then not forcing training and just focusing on maintaining have been the key things to help me recover and feel solid going into this race. So
awesome. So speaking about the climbing fitness, you've been posting about some like uphill workouts that you've been doing and how you're a climber at heart, and that's where you build confidence and stuff. Add some practical details there. Like, what have you and Robbie been doing? What are the critical sessions that help you're ready?
Yeah, it's mostly just like focusing on long sustained uphills and being able to run them, not force them, like run them very under control, but run them at a pretty solid effort. And so like I've been doing a lot of like 2x30 minute uphill intervals, 2x15 minute uphill intervals, different things like that. But I've been doing them on specific climbs on the course. Like, I did it on the first climb of CCC, and I was monitoring my heart rate the whole time just to make sure I was in a proper zone.
That climb is a monster.
Yeah, but like now I know what I can run that on on race day.
Yeah.
And I was doing it with my pack, my full pack on, with my race day shoes, with everything that I needed, with the weight that I would have, you know, at the start of the race to make sure that my heart rate could, you know, be under control. And I knew the zone or the feeling that I needed on that course or on that climb to make it sustainable. I did a session actually on the Triant climb, which is probably the steepest climb on the race. And it's like the ladder, you know, it's in the second half. So it's
sort of the crux of the course.
Yeah, it's a pretty big climb. And I've had some really good days on that climb in racing here. And I've had some really bad days. So I wanted to make sure I got that down. So I think I've done that like 5 or 6 times since I've been here.
Wow.
But one day I did 2 by 30 minutes up that climb. So I ran 30 minutes up, turned around, ran back down the climb, and then went right back up it. And I think I ran 30 minutes for the first one, like all the way to the top. And then the second one, I ran it in 32 minutes. And it was,
solid.
Felt good.
Tell me about that 50K you did in Austria. What purpose did that serve?
Yeah, I mean, that was my longest run of this block of training, 5 hours. And we thought like, hey, might as well go out there, get a solid, you know, race day specific type long run. Mm-hmm. So went out there, did a 5-hour run, ran it a lot of like the first loop I ran it like CCC effort. So like, the first, so like pretty much half the race at CCC effort. And then the second half of the race, I just kind of picked it up a little bit, and ran it closer to 50K effort. And was able to come away with the win and get a solid long run, solid workout in.
Good confidence builder. How are you thinking about the dynamic at CCC and how it's changed also? Because from memory, when you won in 2017, it was a wire-to-wire classic Hayden Hawks front runner type win. And the sport has progressed in those 7 years. So have you. And the field is, of course, incredibly deep.
Yeah.
How do you think about it, or to the extent you can share, like, you don't necessarily need to talk about strategy, but the dynamic of the race is changing and it's forcing athletes to respond or to change their own strategies. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to adapt and you have to, you know, be specific and you have to be more dialed than ever before. And I'll tell you that I am, you know, like I've gone through the splits of every past winner from my race till now. And I've looked at everything to see exactly what they ran up specific climbs, what they did between this section and this section, just so I could know. Like I've been dissecting Petter's course record from a couple years ago. I dissected John Albin's win last year. I really look up to those guys. I do think they race really smart. Mm-hmm. And so there's just been little things like that I have really tried to dial in. And then I will go out and I'll actually implement it into my training to see exactly what I'm capable of, what I need to do in specific spots. I've been looking throughout the course to see like where I can maybe have an advantage or where I have a disadvantage and kind of figure that out. Like the sport is growing. It's getting more and more competitive. But I think that I've been pretty on top of things with me and my coach, you know, and I'm always I'm questioning things. I like learning and I like growing and I like questioning things. And I continue to do that, even as I get older. Yeah. And I think honestly, like I'm only becoming a better athlete because of that. And it's awesome to have these young guys in because they make you do that and they make you grow and they make you learn. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
It's so cool. It reminds me of something I talked about with Jeff Browning on my show recently, and that he sort of exemplified that, though he's 2 decades older than you, where like, you know, he keeps tinkering, he keeps learning, he keeps like, experimenting with his strategy. And as we get older, oftentimes the propensity is to ossify, get set in your ways, resist change. Right?
Yeah, and luckily I have a really good group of athletes around me that I can learn and grow from. Like I bounce ideas off of Dan Jones all the time. He bounced ideas off of me. We had a HOKA camp up here in Argentiera a few weeks ago, and I was in the hot tub with Ludovic Pomeray. and was bouncing ideas off of him.
He's coming in here next.
Yeah, talk about a guy who like has just adapted and grown with the sport. You know, he's almost 49 years old and he's still crushing and winning races.
Just broke the course record.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I've learned so much from him. You know, I was hanging out with Jim there at the HOKA camp and talking to Jim a lot. And we, you know, I love talking to Jim because that dude, he talking about questioning things and like trying to figure things out. It is so cool to talk to Jim and see what's going through his head. Yep. And I feel like I'm kind of the same way. And when we get together, I wish somebody could record those conversations.
Let's do it. We got to do a podcast. 'Cause I don't know. I've recognized that in him too. I think Killian has a lot of that too. And you can see it in when he writes about his training and the thought he puts into it. Yeah. Like, it's so clear. Guys like you, Jim, Killian, like, there's so much. You're obviously so talented, you know, both the nature and nurture are coming together, right? You have the talent, but also like you're willing to put in the work and to figure it out. Before we wrap up, say a few words about Dan, because I think this is a cool story. Like, he came out, you guys trained together leading up to Western States. You finished 3rd and 4th, you know, not separated by much. Yeah. And I think you've been sort of doing a training camp together for CCC. I just think it's a really cool thing to see that friendship, two guys at your level who really do care about each other, train together and push each other. How's Dan made you better?
Oh, yeah. How has he not made me better? I mean, honestly, like if it wasn't for Dan, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, especially coming off the injury. Like, he's been there the whole time, supporting me, pushing me. And like, he's not the guy that's going to like talk a lot and say a lot, but he knows how to push you just by not saying anything. Yeah. And you feed off of that energy because he's that way. He's so competitive. He wants it more than anything. He's super, super hungry, just like me. And we work so well together. We have very similar personalities, very similar like ideas about life and what we want in life and how we want to take this sport and how we want to grow and become even better. And it's been so fun to have a training partner like that. We just, like, we understand each other and we don't have egos to where we're just like trying to like get better than each other. Yeah. We're trying to get better together. And that's so what's so cool about it is like we had the training block before States. We had a training block out here. And then actually I'm going to New Zealand in January and I'll be training down with Dan in New Zealand for a few months this winter. And we're just going to continue and try and do that because it's working. And we're getting better. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Steel sharpens steel. It's funny. I'm just remembering that after Western States, before the award ceremony, I bumped into Dan. I was like, bro, congratulations. Amazing. And he was like, yeah, you know, a little disappointing to be the first guy off the podium. I'm like, dude, you ran 14:30. Oh, we joke all the time about it. The thing you got to realize is with Kiwis, like the banter means that you actually like, they like you. Yeah, yeah. And so we banter back and forth about it so much. And like, I'm always like, dude, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry at the same time. Like, so it was good. Yeah, he'll have his day, you know. He's going to have his day at CCC. Yeah, awesome. He's fit. He's ready to go. I think both of us can be on the podium here at CCC. Amazing. All right, so I'm ending all these interviews with the same question for everybody, which is just, who is crewing for you? Why that person? What has he or she meant to in your career? Yeah, James Hatton. So he's a really good friend of mine, and he's one of the head scientists at Precision Fuel and Hydration. Nice. He crewed me at Western States. He's been the guy that's been instrumental in me dialing in my nutrition and my hydration, which has made a huge difference in my career. So he'll be out here crewing me at CCC, coming down from the UK. And then my wife and my kids are going to be out on the course cheering me on. So it'd be awesome to have them out there. But yeah, shout out to James. Couldn't have done any of this without him, and just really happy to have him on my team. The dream team. Well, Hayden Hawks, good luck this weekend. Can't wait to see you race. Thanks for making time for us. Thanks, Ben.